Hundreds of teachers in the Oklahoma City School District say they're responsible for administering the majority of discipline, according to a new survey. More than half of the 836 respondents say they're required to tolerate offending behavior in the classroom because of a lack of administrative support. Nearly 90% of those surveyed say students don't obey classroom rules. 80% say students display disruptive outbursts that impede learning. Yet, 40% of teachers say they have yet to write a referral this year. We did ask school district representatives to join us for this conversation, but they declined at this time. More coverage from all sides can be found by Tim Willert in the Oklahoman and online at newsok.com. And on this rainy morning, we are joined by Benjamin Bax. Good to have you in here. You're a field rep with the American Federation of Teachers and a former teacher at U.S. Grant.
That is correct.
Thank you for stopping in. We certainly appreciate that. And suspensions are down. Why is bad behavior up?
Oh, well, most of the teachers, they feel that if they write a referral, nothing will happen. Either the administrator won't process the referral, or they will be told that it was their fault due to lack of classroom management, saying you were handling this child inappropriately in the sense that what you did somehow was inappropriate in lessening this behavior, guiding, modeling the correct behavior.
So what you're hearing from the teachers is they feel there's a lack of support, even if they do something towards discipline. Their administrators are not going to support those
exactly. And instead of getting support from the administration, they will be blamed for the problem. And this doesn't go across the board for all administrators at every school. There are some that feel, and our survey results showed it, that they felt that the administration did support them, but there are many that felt that it did not. That it was like, well, my administrator, their hands are tied from the district directives from the superintendent. It's that their administrator wants to do the right thing. A child assaults a teacher, something like that. The child only gets suspended for 2 days. That's because their building principal had their hands tied.
Well, we mentioned this survey off the top of this video. What about this survey jumps out at you?
Well, reading through the responses, we actually had 36 pages of responses, small type font, and many teachers are saying it is crazy. It is a very chaotic environment, that they can't do the teaching because of such disruptive behavior, that the kids that are really not being served are the other kids in the classroom when you have 3, 4, 5 kids that are having this disruptive behavior. We had teachers that have been hit, spit on, kicked, assaulted by students. Defiance is a daily activity for many students at the schools, and this jumps out at you, but what is silent is the fact that you see that all these other kids are not being served with education. They are being denied their right to education because it's such a chaotic environment.
The kids that are not disruptive.
Right, exactly. They have to sit there and have the lessons interrupted, lose out on their instruction time because that teacher's trying to fight fires, trying to handle these unruly students. And another thing that we saw jump out is a lot of teachers, it seemed maybe about 1 in every 10, 12 responses, people said, I am, going to either leave the district or leave the profession. And it's heartbreaking because they don't want to leave. They want to teach kids. They want to be inspiring. They understand that they have to deal with a lot. But they don't have to deal with disrespect from the administration and this chaotic environment where they can't teach. And then on top of that, they have different initiatives from the district that they have to do from their PLC model, professional learning communities, to the Marzano TLE evaluation system, where it basically will nitpick them on the improper word choice in a lesson plan when they're just trying to teach and then want to have a disruptive student removed from their classroom setting.
Talking with Benjamin Bax, he's with the American Federation of Teachers, field rep. Now, I mentioned that you're a former teacher. You spent 4 years at U.S. Grant. What did you see there while you were there? Okay,
when I first started at U.S. Grant, it was considered a dropout factory. We had just started a federal school improvement grant turnaround model. And so they, released half the teachers. They received millions of dollars of federal funding. And we had a great building administrator, Tammy Sanders, and we had high accountability for both teachers and students. We had strict discipline. We actively worked to find alternative placement for unruly students. And by creating a structured environment, we were able to create an environment where kids could learn. And by doing that, the school went all the way up to an 89 on the state report card systems.
Pretty significant turnaround.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we were 1 point away from being an A school, and the kids thrived on that because, you talk to the students, and what they see is, they don't like having a disruptive student in the classroom. They like having a classroom that is orderly and controlled, and in doing so, it allows them to thrive. When there's chaos, disruption going on, they'll feel free to talk or interact with their peers or whatnot. But when we had that structured environment, we could really do the things that we needed to, such as analyze data for the test scores, focus on what areas of instruction we needed to improve on, what the kids may be missing in the instruction, and then move from there and raise the school up. And like I said, we were 1 point away from being an A school. And then since Superintendent Springer left, and since we've had the new superintendent, my former school went down down to an 80. So now it's, barely a B school, and it goes right along with maintaining more students in the classroom, not putting kids in alternative placement, and allowing this disruptive environment.
You mentioned the 36 pages of responses. Let's get into that just a little bit. What are you reading from that? What are the teachers telling you with these responses? Apparently they took advantage of this survey to give some feedback.
Most definitely. I mean, I have stories where teachers are kicked, teachers have been jumped on, teachers have been spit on. Being cursed at daily is something that happens. And a lot of this, severe disruptive behavior is at the elementary school level or the middle school level. The high school level, it's more just, defiance, use of cell phones, dress code violations, stuff like that. But some of the more extreme stuff does happen. And I just want it to be clear that there are so many great students in our school, so many students that are out there trying, and I mean, they'll tell you, like I said before, they don't want this chaotic environment because they want to learn and they want it controlled.
One final question for you, Benjamin Bax, AFT Field Rep. What does this survey say about the job Oklahoma City Public Schools is doing to keep schools safe and the students engaged?
Well, actually, I'm glad you brought that up because I failed to mention the other thing. Teachers feared for their safety. In the report, many say that things are rather chaotic. It is becoming unhinged, and they fear for their safety, and they also fear for the safety of the students because there's attacks of students on students. 10% of the teachers in the survey that responded said they'd been assaulted by a student. I mean, that's huge. 1 in 10 teachers said they had been assaulted. And so, I mean, just looking at that, I mean, I can go through these different statistics and talk about how 38% have had, students could conduct physical violence against another student. Looking at all these things, it is shocking. I hope it is an eye-opener for the district and they go a different path on their discipline policies. And like I said, many administrators support this. They feel that their hands are tied and that they are unable to do their job.
Let me dovetail on that last question with one more question. I'm looking at the 36 pages of surveys he has there. But Benjamin, is the district doing enough, and what do the teachers recommend?
The district is not doing enough. What the teachers recommend is enforcement of traditional discipline methods. They want the unruly kids out of the classroom. 64% said greater enforcement of traditional discipline methods. And then outside of that, 48% wanted more planning time because they feel that they're in the classroom, they're being disrupted by this unruly behavior. And then on top of that, when they need to plan, they have all these district initiatives, meetings, and whatnot. I believe it's 60% of teachers said that they only get an hour or less of unblocked off planning time. And so they're having to deal with all these issues. And part of the way that the discipline is being implemented now is it's a cumbersome policy where they have to complete a lot of paperwork to document, where a lot of them are just throwing their hands up and saying, I'm not going to do it because when I do it, they're going to blame me, blame the victim, and say that it was my fault because I failed to manage my classroom properly, when all they're doing is trying to teach and trying to deal with these disruptive outbursts.
They're frustrated when they fill out all the paperwork, they don't see a response after that.
Exactly. We have a lot of them that say that they'll submit a referral and it's either not worked or it's not worked in a timely manner, or if they do a referral, a lot of elementary students, because they don't have an actual room for in-school suspension, what happens is that child is placed in another teacher's classroom, and so essentially by having this child placed, they're punishing their colleague, their peer.
All right, Benjamin Bax, he's a field rep with the American Federation of Teachers and a former teacher on the south side of Oklahoma City, U.S. Grant. Thank you for your time this morning. More coverage from our Tim Willard in the Oklahoman and online at newsok.com.